Navigating the often choppy waters of federal politics can be tricky, but for Conservative MP Aaron O'Toole, it was a little less so, thanks to the mentorship and advice provided by Jim Flaherty. He joins us from Ottawa. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Beverly.
So, Mr. O'Toole, tell me a little bit about your relationship with Jim Flaherty.
Well, it was a special one. It was unique and something I'll cherish. I met Jim during his first successful election in 1995 when he ran for the Ontario legislature alongside my father. And I'll remember the event in June where I was with my father helping run his campaign, and he was with Jim next door and Jim's 3 triplet boys who were very young at the time. And my dad had immense respect for him. My dad in the Ontario legislature was his parliamentary assistant in finance. And then years later, a lot of the qualities I admired in Jim, his passion for his community, his family, his legal skills. I became a lawyer and eventually a politician, and it was an honor for me to serve alongside my father's friend and someone he admired here in Parliament. So I'd known him for almost 20 years of his public service, and there hasn't been anyone finer or more hardworking than Jim Flaherty.
We're just looking at video of you being introduced to the House. That must have been quite a moment for you.
It was quite a moment for my entire family. My father was in the gallery along with my wife and my baby son and my daughter, and there was my father's, one of his close friends and someone he respects immensely, leading his son into the House of Commons. Very, very special. And my dad recently announced he's retiring from the Ontario legislature. I had him for a lunch just 2 months ago here in Ottawa. And of course, who showed up for the lunch but Jim Flaherty, finance minister, cleared his schedule for an old friend. And that was the type of person he was. Despite how busy and how stressful his job was, he always found time for friends and colleagues and family, regardless of what side of the House of Commons they were sitting. So that's why you've seen the genuine emotion and shock with the news yesterday.
With so many people. And, you know, I think the stories are coming out. I think a lot of Canadians would not have known about his mentorship for so many people, yourself included. Tell me, when you decided to run, what was the advice that he gave you?
Well, it was interesting. He was about the 3rd or 4th phone call I made after my wife and my father, of course, because he's from the Durham region where I represent. He's very proud of those roots and has done a lot for our region. And I asked his advice stepping into a by-election on short notice. And he said, if you're going to go for it, you have to go hard. You have to go out and show people that you're going to win. And I followed that advice. And then in Ottawa, he said, make sure right away you stand up for things in caucus that you believe in. Don't feel just because you're new that you don't have perspective to share, and start fighting for causes you believe in. And that's really was his nature. Passion is probably a word that describes him best, and he pursued and fought for passions in his life. And that will be a tremendous legacy, because in our community in Durham, you can't look around without seeing his legacy in our area, and then Canada. His legacy for our country is tremendous, so it will be a way we remember him.
Yeah, the Durham Ability Center is a big one, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. Tell me what you'll remember most about Jim Flaherty.
I remember most his... I'm wearing my shamrock tie today, and a lot of people will be wearing green ties in the House today. His passion and his Irish grit. And look, we didn't always agree on things in some leadership battles over the years. Sometimes we were often on either side. But you admired him, and he had that tough grit, but always a smile. So it was like his hockey days. He was prepared to go into the corners if he needed to, but he was more of a finesse player, and he would use those skills. And he did so in a way that was classy and that drew people to him. And so there will be a hole in our caucus, but I can tell you there's a dozen or more younger members of our caucus. Myself, one of them, of course, Kelly Leach, a very close friend,
yes,
who will be his legacy as well, because he helped us all along the way, and that will be a lasting impact within our party and within our government, despite the fact we won't have our friend Jim.
Well, another very emotional day indeed, with the House sitting at 10, beginning with tributes to Jim Flaherty. We certainly appreciate you coming on with your memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly.